Welcome to the Evangelism Podcast. I'm Daniel King, and I'm excited about telling people about Jesus. Today, I have a very special guest, Pastor Niclas Wiktorell from the nation of Sweden. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Daniel. So glad to be here.
We are in Asia together,
Yeah.
and we have had a wonderful time this week. God has been moving here, and so it's been so wonderful to get to know you. And you pastor a church in the nation of Sweden. Can you tell me first, what is the name of your church, and then what part of Sweden are you in?
Yeah, of course. The name of the church is the Pentecostal Church in Lidköping. And Lidköping is in the southern part, southwest part of Sweden, close to Gothenburg.
Okay, and let's start with your testimony. How did you become a believer, and how did you know that you were called to be a pastor?
Okay, I think it started all when my uncle came back from Africa. He was a missionary in Liberia in Africa, and he came back and he told about Jesus and what he did, and that really moved me. As a little kid, I was maybe 6 or 7 years old or something like that, and then I saw that, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. But then it took a little while, maybe during the teenagers. As a teenager, I forgot about it, but I had my faith, and I went to a Bible school, and on that Bible school, I decided I wanted to do this, and God spoke to me about it. Yeah.
Wow. And how long have you been pastoring?
I've been pastoring for about 20 years.
Wow. And what is the spiritual climate like in Sweden? I know historically there's a strong church there, but now it seems like Sweden is more of a secular society. What would you say people's understanding of God is?
Yeah, it's very secular, and it's. I think the majority has the idea that there is no God, at all. Maybe 10% has some sort of notion about God, but very few Christians, maybe 2-3%, maybe. Yeah.
And so in a secular society where people have a historical understanding sometimes of Christianity, but now believe that there is no God, how do you reach those who are lost?
Wow, that is a tough question for us, to do that. But I still believe that, it's the same thing, even though it's a secular country. I actually believe that now it's so secular that when we come with the message of Jesus, it's like, wow, people haven't heard it before. So when I grew up, everyone knew about Jesus, but they rejected it. But now the kids and the young people, it's like they're hearing it for the first time. So I think you just have to be bold, and you just have to try to reach out and tell the good news. Yeah.
And so this year at Easter time, you had a very unique outreach. Tell me what that looked like and what God did.
Yeah, we did it in a local arena. So we had like 1,500 to 2,000 people in that arena for 3 days. And it was from the region. Our city it's a small town. I mean, it's like 40,000, but we could reach people in that area in our region, and every night we saw people coming to Christ.
How did you promote it? How did you invite people to come?
Mostly through social media. Actually, only through social media. Yeah.
Okay, so Facebook and
Facebook and mostly Facebook.
And so you asked your church members to share it and to invite people, and then were you also doing advertising on Facebook?
Yeah, a little bit of advertising too, but that was what we did.
And so Easter is a great time to reach out to people.
Yep.
I mean, that seems very amazing that you were, for 3 days, you were able to fill the place with 1,500, 2,000.
I mean, it was such a huge step of faith for us. It was because we maybe do like this in Sweden 2 or 3 times a year, and now we thought we would do it in our little town, and it was a big step of faith. But we did it, and with God, it's succeeded.
And what type of program did you do? Was it like a typical church service? Were you doing an Easter drama? What?
We did a number of different things. It was music programs, and then also, of course, preaching. A lot of testimonies of people that have been in different kinds of addicts and so on. So and also some drama. Yeah.
I've read in the news that there are lots of immigrants that have come to Sweden,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit controversial because some people want to be very welcoming. Other
Yeah.
people say that it's difficult to integrate them into the society.
Yeah.
But your church is actually reaching out to immigrants that have come from many different parts of the world, and you're reaching them with the love of Christ. What does that look like?
Yeah, we reach people from Syria and from Afghanistan and from Iran. So, and every week we have this program on Thursday nights when we invite them and we teach them about Swedish society, our culture, and so forth. And also we have like a Swedish school for them, so they learn to speak Swedish. Yeah.
And many of them coming from these nations are probably Muslim.
Yeah.
And
The majority. Yeah.
The majority are Muslim. And so I think that's really wonderful that you're reaching out to the Muslims. In many times Christians go on a mission to another nation in order to reach people, but really God is bringing the mission field to you.
Yes.
They're right on your doorstep
Yes.
now. And I think it's so wonderful that your church is reaching out to them, loving them, and showing them the love of Christ.
Yeah, we always say that, but God has brought us the mission field to us. So it's much more easier now in that way.
And how has your church responded to that? Have they been enthusiastic about being a part?
I think it's been really, really amazing. A lot of people put in their hearts to this and work with this every week, and you see friendships with the immigrants and so forth. So it's really, really nice to see what God does in people's lives.
I think that's so wonderful. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, we've had many Afghan families that have come there. And my father worked in Afghanistan for 12 years. And so we have been working with a group of the Afghans that have come to our city. And some of them actually had a stopover in Sweden. And so they had some very nice things to say about their time in Sweden. And then they left Sweden and came to America. So we're happy to have them now. Yeah. But I think this is so important for Christians to open up their eyes. Jesus told the disciples in John 4, open your eyes and see the harvest fields. Really, the harvest field is all around us. And if we'll look for opportunities to talk to people about Jesus, to share God's love with people, then we can see God begin to do miracles in their lives.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the Evangelism Podcast.
Thank you, Brother Daniel.
Let me ask you, what is your life message? What is the message that you like sharing with people the most that God has given you?
Well, I think that God is a good father and he wants to invite you into his family. That is the thing. He's a good father and he cares for everyone. He loves everyone and he wants to take care of every person. And he sees everyone individually. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the Evangelism Podcast.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel King is on a mission to save 1 million souls a year, but he can't do it alone. Would you consider sowing a financial seed today? To give, please visit www.kingministries.com.